Hey guys, Martin here bringing up Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video, and so we saw the information for the new Dokkan Fest exclusive Lord Slug get posted last night or early this morning, depending on your time zone. And of course, one of the most interesting things. He's got quite a few interesting things going on with him, to be honest. But one of the most interesting things is that we are getting a new category. Now, obviously, we got uncontrollable power during the worldwide celebration for the Brolys, and obviously there's a bunch of other characters included on there as well. I think that's the first time in a while that we've gotten a new category, so very interesting that we are starting to get a couple more added in the game to help out specific characters. Like uncontrollable power is a pretty good category for building around Broly, and demonic power seems like it's going to be a very interesting one for building a team with Lord Slug as well. So his leader skill, as I talked about, I did a breakdown of his details in the video that I posted earlier, so check that out if you want to see the more in-depth discussion about Lord Slug. Really, this is just to talk about the category. So his leader skill: demonic power in human deeds or movie bosses, 3 key, HP attack and defense 170, additional HP attack and defense 30% for characters who belong to the terrifying conquerors or space traveling warriors category. So if we use the leader skill tool that is available on Dokkan Info, we can see this is the breakdown of all the characters that will get his full 200% leader skill. Now, obviously, not all of these are going to be Demonic Ways characters. This is more of just a brief look into what his team is potentially going to look like. And then we'll talk about the category in a bit more detail, because I talk about it sometimes in my showcases. I try to do my showcases for characters on a 200% leader skill team. But remember that you can still run characters on these teams that are only getting a 170 lead. And if the characters are good enough and the team synergizes well enough, then it isn't going to matter that they're getting the slightly lower stats, right? As long as the units are good enough. So we can see here from the characters getting the full 200% leader skill, it's like the whole top line of units are kind of outdated at this point. But we do have the LR Turles army, who obviously you can build. Lord Slug is one, but you build them around a team of like terrifying conquerors, so they get their full buff. They give a lot of support. Like their EZA was very, very good. The free-to-play LR Barbady and Boo and the Barbady and Dabura, obviously those guys, I believe they're on Demonic Ways. I'll have to double check, because I think they're here because they're on Terrifying Conquerors. Or in Human Deeds, actually, because Terrifying Conquerors is the plus 30%. Because there's a lot of Margin characters on Demonic Power, so I'm assuming these guys are, especially because the solo Barbady is as well. Demon King Piccolo just got his World Tournament EZA, and we were talking about how he doesn't really have a huge amount of teams to fit onto, especially because he wants to be run around extreme characters, which the Dragon Ball Saga team isn't really built for. And so now, all of a sudden, right after his release, almost like Dokkan actually did a good thing with planning ahead, which is very rare to happen, so hard to believe. But like Lord Slug, this guy might actually be pretty solid on his team, which is very interesting. And then as we go down, we got a lot of these guys, unfortunately, are getting a bit outdated. It took too long for them to get better teams. Like LR Baby, his EZA was really good on release, but just not on a ton of teams, right? And then obviously we get to the TURs. We've got Slug himself and his banner unit. His banner unit actually seems quite good. I'll go into a more detailed breakdown of these guys. I went over their details in the earlier video, but when I do the like summon or skip video, I'll talk about these guys and how good I think they actually will be, like for the meta and everything, in a bit more detail. But obviously they're on the team. All the Freezers are on here pretty much. AGL Freezer having another team where you're going to have like Terrifying Conquerors and Space Traveling Warriors allies is really good. His banner unit Dodoria's on there as well, Bojack. Now the interesting thing is Demonic Ways, as we'll go over, covers most of the Namekians, if not all, but it also covers a bunch of the demon race characters from Heroes. So this is very interesting to see, like depending on who we get this year for Heroes, which is something we've been talking about quite a lot recently, some of these characters are going to be on this team, even if they're not getting the full 200% leader skill. And will certainly be very, very interesting. Piccolo Jr. having another team where he'll actually be relevant and can get some of his links is going to be really good, including Big Bad Bosses. Meki Kabura, I talked about him the other day, probably one of my most anticipated of the Heroes EZAs for this year, and he gets a 200% lead from this team. He's a Big Bad Bosses character. Slug is not a unit who's very orb reliant, so the fact that this guy's a nuker, he's not going to be competing with him for orbs, which is really interesting. Garlic Jr., we talked about whether he was going to potentially be related to the new Dokkan Fest. Him with an easy A could be incredible for this team. Really good extreme support character. And then, yeah, we have a lot of these other demon characters. But, of course, remember, this is the full 200% leader skill breakdown. So we've got movie bosses on here. We've got Inhuman Deeds characters on here. So let's take a look at the actual demonic power category itself and see, is this category any good? So we've got the leader and the support unit, of course. And then straight away on the top line of units, you can see a whole bunch of Gohans here. Now, it's going to be interesting. I know the wiki has kind of loose translations that are not like official from the game as to what the definition of the categories are, but it seems interesting here because like there's a few characters. If we look over to the wiki view quickly, there's obviously the link Demonic Ways in the game, which is a key link, and then at level 10 it gives some attack and defense. Some of the Namekians, not all the Namekians have it, like most of the extreme Namekians have it, and then you've got like Boo Piccolo has it randomly. And then like Kid Gohan and Piccolo, these guys have it because obviously Kid Gohan was trained by Piccolo, I guess, and that's why he has the link. But it's only those specific Kid Gohans that have it. And then when we go back to the demonic power category itself, like, but I think every Gohan is on here. We'll see as we scroll down. There might be one or two missing, maybe, but every Gohan is on here, which is kind of interesting. Because if the implication is like Gohan is on here because he was trained by Piccolo, like Kid Goku was trained by Kami at some point, right? So shouldn't all the Gokus be on here as well, technically? It's going to be weird, like a loose interpretation, I guess, of what the criteria is for being on this category. But we basically got all the Gohans, all the Boos, like every Boo is on here. So units like Super Easy A Kid Boo, obviously going to be very, very good as a support unit on the team, helping out Lord Slug, not only with the support, but like the big bad bosses link as well. All the Namekians are on here, so you can see like the superclass Piccolos are on here, because of course, thanks to Daima, we now know that Namekians originally came from the Demon Realm before, you know, going across the universe, setting up their own sort of home planet somewhere, and then obviously going out to other planets, coming to Earth and stuff like that. So these guys are all part of the category as well. All the Margins are on here, like I say, all versions of Boo. Oob is on here because, of course, you know, he is technically a version of Boo. We've still got the Gohans. Shen is obviously Kami in disguise, so that makes sense. Devilman, I mean, yeah, I guess, right? Makes perfect sense. Harudagon is on here, which is interesting. Android 21 as well. So everyone, even Margin related, is on the category, which is interesting. And then, yeah, we've got Fu and Toa, which makes sense because they just straight up are demons from the Demon Realm. But yeah, it does look like every Gohan, right? Because we've got like Super Saiyan Gohan from Superhero, Super Saiyan 4 Gohan from Heroes is on here. Obviously, Robel, Dabura, Poutine, Mechikabra, these, of course, all characters that are demons from the Demon Realm, so this makes perfect sense. But yeah, I mean, even like the Kid Gohan exchange with Goku, like, is on here, right? So it seems like every Gohan, basically, in the game is on here. Demigra, Toa, Mira, I mentioned Toa already, but Mira, obviously Lord Slug, even like the super types like Shape Up Boo is on here as well. I do think it is literally every Gohan, right? We're seeing all these like random ones I haven't seen for a while. All the Piccolos, and Nail is on here. Obviously Nail, this is one of the funny things I talked about in the video of like who is the next Dokkan Fest going to be. Funnily enough, I speculated the possibility of it being a Lord Slug just because then it would make sense that Nail's Easy A happened and he needs a Namekian ally on the team. Obviously at the time when making that video I said that obviously for this to work, Slug would have to have a Namekian's leader skill, but instead he just has a new category that includes all the Namekians. So this guy, whilst he doesn't get the 200% leader skill from Lord Slug, could be on his team and obviously has damage reduction because he has a Namekian ally on the team. And then if you are running any of the Piccolos on the team, he's also a support unit. So that could certainly be very useful. Yeah, obviously more forms of Toa, the Super Saiyan 3 Gohan. So yeah, like every Gohan, every Piccolo, every Boo. Of course, Android 21, Tapion. I guess it's just because it's Tapion / Harudagon, right? The Tech Tapion. isn't on here, because that's the funny thing, they kind of allude to in Daima that like everyone with like pointy ears essentially is from the demon realm originally. So there's a few characters that you could argue would be on here. The one that I know is missing that I saw people mention, which is very strange, is Janemba. Because obviously Janemba is a form, like a character essentially created in the other world from the essence of pure evil, essentially. But I suppose evil doesn't necessarily mean demon, like they're not the same thing. But yeah, Janemba is not on the category, which is certainly an interesting choice, because obviously with the LR Janemba EZA being so good, that would have been a really great option for the team. But sadly, he is not on the leader skill for Demonic Ways. But for Lord Slug, obviously, he is a movie boss character. So he's not on Terrifying Conquerors, though, so he will only get the 170 lead. But he could still be a very viable option for Lord Slug's team. But it's kind of weird that he's not on the Demonic Ways category. And then you've got, like, Harudagan who... I mean, I guess he is referred to as a Margin, even though he's not like Margin Buu, right? Like with the names of the cards and stuff, right? He is actually referred to as like the Phantom Margin or something, isn't he? So very weird, the association. But yeah, every Gohan being on here just because Gohan was trained by Piccolo is my assumption as to why Gohan is on here is kind of strange, because obviously, you know, Gohan was specifically trained by Piccolo, taken under his wing, and has kind of always gone back to him as his main, like, master to train with. But it's not like Piccolo hasn't trained with the other characters. Like I say, Goku was trained by Kami, who obviously is here, right? Because Shen is here. I didn't actually see when we were scrolling down the physical Kami, but I'm assuming, yeah, there he is. So if Kami's on here and he trained Kid Goku, why is Kid Goku? I mean, I guess, you know, Gohan uses Piccolo's techniques and stuff like that as well, I guess. So it makes more sense that Gohan would be on a category because of being trained by Piccolo than somebody like Kid Goku, who it's not like he does Kami or Piccolo's techniques or anything. But yeah, Demonic Ways, or Demonic Power, I should say. Demonic Ways is the link. Demonic Power definitely seems like an interesting category. I think it's one of those ones where the category itself on its own, like if a Carnival LR came out with Demonic Power 200%, you probably could still make a pretty solid team. But for Slug, I think the team is going to be good because it's also balanced out by those other characters, right? Like having the other movie bosses and the Inhuman Deeds characters from his leader skill. Because outside of some of the specific extreme characters, there's not a lot of characters on this Demonic Ways list that get the full 200% from Slug, because the extra 30% is Space Traveling Warriors or Terrifying Conquerors. So obviously there's a few of the extreme characters get the Terrifying Conquerors one, but obviously none of the superclass characters here are going to be getting the 200% leader skill for him. But then, of course, you know, when you've got units like, you can throw Beast Gohan and like the Family Kamehameha LR on the team, like these guys, even just under a 170 lead, are still going to be really, really good. Future Gohan's still really good. Like you could literally just have a rotation of Beast Gohan and then either Family Kamehameha or Future Gohan, and even though they're only getting a 170 lead, they're still going to be really, really strong. So Demonic Power definitely seems like an interesting category. I do love the fact that obviously with all the Demon Race characters, we've got a lot of Heroes units on here as well, because Heroes this year is going to have not only these EZAs like Mechikabra, but potentially we'll get like a new version of Fu if they are doing the end of the universe survival, like the universe tree arc. There's like Demon King Demigra potentially for the future as well. It's like Demigra with a form that's kind of like Mechikabra's, where he has like the big hands and everything. So certainly very interesting potential for the future. And of course, as more Daima stuff starts to come out and we get more Daima units in the game, those characters, any characters from the Demon Realm or Demon Realm related, will be on this category as well. So certainly seems like an interesting category. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Like I say, as a standalone category, it's not like, you know, the best category in the game, like something like Super Saiyans or Superhero or something like that. But it certainly seems very solid and has a lot of room for future buffs as well. So let me know all your guys' thoughts on the Demonic Power category down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.